Hello and welcome to Movie Film Studios, the only podcast that takes you inside the mind of two film studio executives as we unravel and then re-ravel the best that Hollywood has to offer. I'm Isaac.
And I'm AJ, and this week we set some jack-o'-lanterns on fire and lobbed them at an old bank robber who was furtively searching for a cure to a nasty zombie outbreak. But before we get into something new, it's time for something old as we check in on our last feature in Box Office Report. Now, last week we released the first volume in a film series that we've deemed to be called the Nevermore Omnibus.
Yes.
Part 1, Quoth the Raven, or Quoth the Raven.
See, it's funny you mentioned that because, like, the film itself just smashed it at the box office. Like,
brilliant.
$380 million opening weekend,
Yep.
which almost covers
That's
the budget we
huge.
had for the CG. It was a CG monster of a film.
Yeah.
Did really, really well in China. We haven't really cracked that Chinese market. I think they're sort of, into those sort of big fantasy world kind of things.
Yep.
It has sparked a massive, massive debate on Reddit.
Really?
Very much akin to the GIF/GIF debacle, whether it is Quoth the Raven or Quoth the Raven. And there's a big talk is like, well, how is, if it's MOTH, that's moth.
Yep.
So Quoth. But if it's BOTH, that's both. So surely Quoth. And no one's been able to really figure it out. And there's a massive, massive divide. It's actually come out like, unlike GIF and GIF, which I think is about 50-50, and there's people who are staunchly on one side. This is more like 90-10. Most people tend to agree that Quoth is the correct pronunciation.
It 100%
but the 10% of people who are like me, who think it should be Quoth, are digging their heels in so deep and are being so much louder than the other 90% who are probably right.
This is great, because then we can do #Quoth versus Quoth, which is not going to look any different when you write it out, because it's the exact same word. But it's going to be like Team Jacob and Team... What was the other one? Edward? From Twilight. So we can get t-shirts printed. We can have like different websites set up for it. Again, it's going to be really hard because they're both spelt the same way. I don't know how we can differentiate the two in a non-verbal context, but marketing potential.
Yeah.
This is where I see it. I see the dollar signs.
It's #Quoth like moth or #Quoth like both.
I thought there's a U in Quoth.
There is, but like it's after the Q, like you would expect it to be.
It's okay. Great. Well, it's nice to see that we had a success and nice to see that yet another marketing avenue has arisen for us. All right, on to this week in trailers. And first up for you, we have a sequel to a beloved children's classic. Sure, why not? In Goosebumps 2, Haunted Halloween.
Haunted Halloween.
The best sounding film title you've ever heard. So the first Goosebumps film came out, a year ago?
I think I feel as though it was reasonably recent, like within the last 18 months or so.
I feel like it just came out on Blu-ray. Like, that's the kind of feeling I get with it.
It's not one of those films that you would have expected a sequel to come out already.
No.
Until you watch the trailer and realize that, like, this does not have Jack Black in it. It does not have any of the original kids.
No.
It is loosely based on the same premise that the mind of R.L. Stein's books are opening a portal to let monsters into the world.
Yeah, gee, where did they get that idea from?
It's the same film, except they've got Ken Jeong in there instead of Jack Black. I don't know if any of the kids were well known, but this is a different troupe. It's a different book. It's the same premise.
Yep. Bad CGI as well, like cartoony looking CGI, which is also meant to look kind of scary at the same time. So it's a weird clash of like styles and stuff. And I assume that with this film series, it's also trying to get the millennials in there who probably grew up reading these books and now have kids or whatever.
Yeah. It feels to me like this is the kind of film that would used to have been straight to VHS.
Oh, yeah.
Where you're perusing the video store. I'm like, oh, I didn't realize they did an Airbuds 2 because it definitely didn't get a cinematic release anywhere near me.
Yep.
It is a blatant cash grab.
Yeah.
And it is somewhat surprising that they got this out the gate so quickly.
Yeah. this is the kind of stuff I'm so surprised it hasn't been turned into a Netflix series yet, because the Goosebumps books used to be a TV series as well.
I think they did Are You Afraid of the Dark, which was, I think, a lot of the little ghost stories that they were telling were loosely based on R.L. Stine ones.
They did an actual licensed Goosebumps TV series as well. And I feel like Netflix, this is right up their alley.
They did a series of unfortunate events, which was again a children's book which was turned into a film with Jim Carrey, and then Neil Patrick Harris is playing the creepy dude.
Count Olaf, yeah.
I've never read the book, so I have no idea what it's all about. But there's no real reason that Netflix has like a production budget of something like $4 billion.
It's huge.
It's incredible. It's a drop in the water considering we pump out every day of every week of every year.
Yep.
But there's no reason that they shouldn't be doing something like that.
Yeah. Anyway, don't go see Goosebumps 2. Really, just don't. All right, on to the next film for this week's episode, which is The Old Man and the Gun, starring Robert Redford in what I assume is his last role, because the other day he announced he's retiring from acting, so I assume this is it. But this film casts him as a bank robber of sorts, but an old man bank robber in the 70s, I want to say.
Yeah, it very much looks like the 70s, and it's kind of strange because back in the actual 70s, Robert Redford was making films like Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid and 3 Days of the Condor and all these sort of films where he was this young, suave, attractive guy doing... And now he's playing an old man in the same period that he used to be a young man.
Yeah.
And it's really, really strange.
It's really weird. But the whole premise of this story is that... because he is a sort of old man, he's a bit unassuming, and he looks very friendly and jovial. He can get away with just brazen bank robberies where he just walks into a bank, robs it, and then pulls over during his getaway drive to go help an old lady with her car.
And you say old lady. This old lady.
Sorry.
She is an old lady, but she is very much the love interest in the film.
Yes. So Sissy Spacek plays the unassuming love interest who doesn't really know what he does for a living, but is otherwise smitten, a la Baby Driver, if you saw that, by Edgar Wright.
There's a whole bunch of those sorts of films where, and it's got this very classic, driving a car, being chased by police while the banknotes go flying out the back in a shower of raining, making it rain. Blaze of Glory, Thelma and Louise style, Bonnie and Clyde.
You've also got Casey Affleck playing the kind of young and upcoming hard-boiled detective who's trying to track down who this bank robber is. It's a very kind of classic story.
Danny Glover's in there as well, and Tom Waits, country bluesy kind of musician with a deep gravelly voice. I'm not sure if he's been in films before, but why not make it? He
absolutely has, and he's always playing weird characters. This looks kind of fun, I guess. Could be a bit of fun. It joins the sort of ranks of old people doing stuff that Red had film with Michael Caine
was a bank robber with I don't know if Michael Gambon and Jim Broadbent or a few of those old English guys were in there. I'm like, oh, this is just like the Italian Job just 30 years later. This is very much the same sort of thing.
And also Book Club, which is about old people getting it off to 50 Shades of Grey.
Yes.
So there you go. Old people can do anything. All right, on to the last film for this week's episode, which is Patient Zero, starring Matt Smith, Stanley Tucci, Natalie Dormer. I'm not sure how we missed this one.
It's a couple of weeks old. We had to go digging back. There was only 2 decent trailers this week, and we went back, and then we found this. It's a little bit of a gem, really. It's a bit of a psychological thriller set in a post-zombie outbreak. Matt Smith is like a military interrogator.
Yes.
And they're trying to find the cure to zombieism by tracking down Patient Zero so they can reverse engineer a cure. And these people are incredibly strong and sort of not all there in the head, and there's different ways that he can talk about it. Matt Smith's the only one who can communicate with the zombies because he was bitten but not turned.
Yep.
And then a zombie comes along, played by Stanley Tucci, who has these sort of evil yellow eyes, and he doesn't behave like the other zombies. He's rational, he's calculating, he's your sort of Hannibal Lecter style, I'm more intelligent than you.
Yep. And also considers himself a separate species to humans.
Exactly.
And that's the whole conceit of this story, that there's now kind of 2 races. There's the original humans and these zombified pseudo-humans who have all been kind of enhanced in terms of their strength and their animal instincts. And his whole thing is just like, maybe the humans are sort of due for an extinction.
Exactly.
Yada, yada, yada. Cue Matt Smith dramatically doing things in a darkened room.
Yeah, so the whole film set in what looks like a nuclear bunker. There's the last refuge of humanity is surviving in there, and then after this sort of pretty intense thrillery interrogation, zombies break into the military base and they just go through and slaughter everyone. It becomes a bit of a survival thing. It reminds me a lot of a book that I read a couple of years ago called The Passage, which is a very similar sort of thing, except I think they did vampires instead of zombies. Kind of interesting. It looks really good. It looks well done. I'm not a big fan of Matt Smith's American accent in this in this thing, but he does an all right job of it, and it's consistently mediocre, as opposed to like Liam Neeson, who tries for the first 15 minutes of a film and then he's just Irish again for no apparent reason.
Sean Connery, whose Bond accent went from like slightly British to just full on Scottish.
You ever see him in Hunt for Red October, where he's like, "Are you speaking Russian with a Scottish accent?" I'm not sure what's going on there, Sean.
Try and imitate that as well. I just want to bring up, there's a scene in this trailer where there's like an infected rat coming towards them in an air vent, which is very reminiscent of that famous scene from the first Mission Impossible film. And I kind of wonder if that scene's going to end as memorably as it did in Mission Impossible. If you don't recall, it was, I think, Jean Reno basically just bites the rat, which is cut out of every TV broadcast of that film, by the way.
Maybe why I don't remember it so much.
It's so weird because in the TV broadcast, right, the rat's coming towards him, cuts to Tom Cruise, who's like, this is the scene where he's being suspended
like
in that room.
Spider-Man,
Cuts back to John Reno, and there's just like a dead rat behind him with like, okay, just died of natural causes. But yeah, I'm kind of wondering how they're going to get out of this particular one.
It's weird you mentioned that, and completely off topic, but speaking of TV edits, one of my favourite films is The Last Crusade.
Yeah.
And the TV edit that we taped off the television from Singapore had completely cut out a lot of the gratuitous violence.
Oh, yeah.
So the bits where the blade slice the guy's head off and it goes tumbling, I never knew that scene
Really?
was in the film until about 15 years later when I bought it on DVD. I'm like, oh, there's all these bits in it that I never knew. All of the sexual innuendo between Harrison Ford and Sean Connery still in there, but just little bits and pieces of violence of like severed heads. They're like, no, we've had enough of that.
Yeah, never mind, like, Indiana Jones's father having...
I watched The Last Man.
Go see that film, it's so good. All right, that is it for this week's episode. All those are the trailers for this week's episode. But of course, before we can do anything with those, we're going to have to take a little walk over to the green room.
Let's go.
Now, let's have a quick recap of the trailers for this week's episode. So we have
a low-budget, direct-to-video sequel of a kids' horror film.
Yeah, a franchise horror film, basically, for kids.
We have an old people doing young people heists in a... This one's
like classic actors coming back to do a heist film or doing something that is generally sort of more for the younger actor.
Yeah, I think so. And then finally, we have...
What did we have? We had a pseudo horror thriller zombie outbreak film.
Yeah, sure.
Why not?
Oh,
now it is your turn to choose this week.
It is very much my turn to choose this week.
Mm-hmm.
Can we do a mashup?
Yes.
I think I'm not really liking any of them quite so much.
Yep.
So one of the biggest features I found of the Goosebumps trailer was just how painfully obvious that they were missing the biggest star draw card that they had from the first film.
Yep.
So I kind of like that. I kind of want to do a kids version horror.
Yep.
But we can throw in elements, or even like it is. I want to do the Patient Zero. That's the film that I want to focus on.
Yep.
But two elements I want to take from Goosebumps 2 is that there is the big action, the big star, the big draw card from the first film is gone.
Yep.
And it's kind of like a little bit cheesy and colourful.
All right, cool. So you're thinking like we're going to set this in the same universe as Patient Zero?
It doesn't have to be Patient Zero. Okay. It can be a sequel to another like horror film.
Okay.
But it's just missing. There's this big gaping hole in the middle.
No, yeah, I love this. Reminds me of like, do you remember when in the 90s where they would release films that really kind of aren't for kids per se, but then they'd do the animated spin-off of it, which was like 100% for kids. Like Ghostbusters, right? Like Ghostbusters is not a like kid-friendly film, really, if you sort of think about it, given Bill Murray's character. But like they went ahead and spun it off into like 2 different animated series.
Yeah. James Bond Jr.
Bond Jr. Yeah. What the hell was that?
What are you doing? James Bond is definitely not for kids.
So maybe that's where we need to go. So we don't have to make an animation, but I think that's probably the core of your idea there. Like take an established high-end, big action, maybe adulty world, do a spin-off of it for kids. Yeah,
like a candied version.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So really, this is all going to hinge on what film do we spin off? What IP, what property do we do? So we need something that's maybe high octane, is a bit adult oriented, has maybe some violence in it too. A little bit of violence never hurt anyone. Well, actually,
I think that is the very definition of violence. I really like doing it as like a 2D animated cartoon as well.
Yep.
We won't go none of that CG route. I'm not sure. Disenchantment, which is Matt Groening's new Netflix animated show, has a lot of the 3D rendered stuff that's supposed to be 2D, and it just looks bad.
That's really bad, yeah.
So we go, none of that stuff. This is all original 1992 Ninja Turtle style.
Exactly, yep.
Animation.
Hand-drawn 2D cell animation.
Yeah.
All right, cool. We're going to have to open up a 2D animation studio somewhere. I know what we should do, and feel free to shoot me down, but Gone in 60 Seconds, the Nicolas Cage version.
Yes. I love it. Because there's also elements of the man and a gun, right? Because there's car chase sort of stuff.
Yep.
So it's a car chase film.
Yep.
I think the original car chase film, I really want to have horror elements to it.
Yes.
And this is like the Muppet Babies.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Version of that.
So
thing.
maybe like the kids of the original group of criminals in Gone. I can't quite remember that film, but if I recall, it was like a collection of criminals who had to go steal cars within a day to meet some demand from some higher end crime kingpin or something.
Nicolas Cage's younger brother got himself into trouble by stealing something or wrecking a car that he shouldn't have wrecked.
Yep.
I want to say that was Giovanni Ribisi, maybe.
I think that sounds
possibly.
About right.
And then Nicolas Cage has to come out of retirement to steal cars with Angelina Jolie and Vinnie Jones.
That's right. Angelina Jolie is in that.
And they get a list of cars, and here's the 20 cars we have to get before midnight or whatever.
So we can't get Angelina Jolie back. We can't get Giovanni Ribisi back. We can get Nicolas Cage back, but he won't be playing the original character he played in that film for no reason.
Yeah.
Other than like this happens all the time in animation. Like the original actors will come back for like a guest episode of an old TV series and not play their actual original character. They'll play some original character that disappears after that episode is done. So that's what Nick Cage needs to do.
Nick Cage comes in.
We'll get a Nick Cage sound-alike to voice his original character.
But I think it's much old. I'm actually thinking this has gone in 60 Seconds in a post-apocalyptic zombie universe where all of the cars that they're stealing are Mad Max style, spiky wheels. There's like a bulldozer shovel rigged on the front so you can plow through. And it's still about stealing the cars, but it's also about sort of surviving the zombies. And it's also lighthearted and fun with kids animation.
This might be a terrible idea because it has been done before, but could we go down the Pixar route and just make the cars sentient?
Ooh. I like it. I'm going to take it a step to the side. It's not a step forward. It's not a step back. There was a point where smart cars were introduced.
Yep.
And
I love where this is going.
And then AI came in, and AI infected all of the smart cars. Yep. So they're all kind of like Kit style Knight Rider cars.
Yep.
But then there's also a post-apocalyptic event. So you have artificial intelligent smart cars.
Yep.
You have the children of Nicolas Cage stealing those cars and also trying to avoid being killed by a zombie plague.
I think it's going to have to be the grandchildren of Nicolas Cage.
The grandchildren of Nicolas Cage.
Because then we can have like Nicolas Cage's character, played by someone else, of course, as an old man in a rocking chair talking about the days. See, this is what he does. He has to tell his grandkids about that time he went and stole... how many? I think it was
Shelby Mustang.
I think it was like no,
GT.
but I think they had to steal like 50 or 60 cars in one day, and his car was like that Shelby GT.
I used the word... I just threw Mustang in there because I knew it was a car thing. I have no idea if it has anything to do with Shelby or GT.
Close enough. It does, just tangentially, but anyway. So I like the idea that like the film opens with like Nicolas Cage's character on a rocking chair, just sort of gathering the grandkids around to tell them this story, while on the outside, like wild AI-based cars roam the lands.
Exactly.
It's like
that's interesting because a lot of the cars are off doing their own thing.
Yeah.
And the kids have to sort of break in and maybe disable the AI.
Yep.
And because that's the only way that they can take over and drive the cars, because the cars are just doing their own stuff otherwise.
Yeah.
It feels like in my head this animation style is very Captain Planet as well.
Yep.
And you have the sort of the 5 kids who are like, street kids from different areas and different races and whatever.
I think we need to nail that exact aesthetic of Captain Planet as well. That sort of early 90s look,
yeah.
Where everything was a little too detailed in terms of the character design, making it really hard for the animators to animate stuff.
And they used to do like these really weird sort of like whip spin pans around people as like water blast. I'm like, that's really difficult to make look good, and you've got about 100 years of animation to make it, and then all of a sudden it's just like, oh no, we can now do that in the computer much easier. No, back
not
to
even
hand-drawn.
digitally colored. We're gonna have like old school hand drawn cell animation where you get hand painted as well. Okay, This is actually really tough because these industries don't really exist anymore.
And where are they all? They're all out of work and desperate for jobs and willing to work for next to no pay.
Beautiful. All right, so let's concentrate on the story. So we've got our 5 kids. One of them is the grandchild of Nicolas Cage's character. Can we have Nicolas Cage play that grandchild?
I don't know. I think it'd be weird to not have him play the grandfather.
Yep.
But we won't cast him as the grandfather.
No.
I think maybe he voices one of the cars.
Perfect.
Like maybe there is a Shelby Mustang GT.
Yes.
Whose artificial intelligence is Nicolas Cage's voice.
Oh, I love this. Maybe it is the original car that Nicolas Cage sat in.
Exactly.
And part of his DNA during the events of Gone in 60 Seconds kind of seeped into the chair.
Yeah.
And throughout the years, it was fine. Obviously, nothing would have happened until the AI got in there.
Yeah.
The electricity started sparking. It melded with the DNA that was trapped in the seat and suddenly spread throughout the car.
And that car's the one that's different. It's the one that doesn't think the same way. It's not on the same network as all the other AI cars.
Yep.
It's a bit of a rogue. It's a bit of a rebel.
Is it? Or is there an opportunity for like Grandpa Nicolas Cage to bond with that car in a kind of like Jurassic World way where he bonds with the raptor that he trained for so long?
Yeah, possibly.
Like what do they call it when they when you watch it from birth? Like you imprint.
Yeah.
So maybe like Grandpa Cage imprinted onto the car.
onto the Shelby.
This Shelby is usually a wild child, just runs amok, does its own thing. But then like somehow, I got it. There's a showdown, right?
Yeah.
That Shelby turns up to the bunker where their kids are all staying. So this is like the end of Act 1.
Yeah.
Grandpa's told him about this story, about how he had to steal all these cars back in the 90s. And then this car turns up because they're always trying to like protect themselves from the wild, ravenous AI-driven cars. The Shelby turns up. Grandpa goes out there. This car's usually like a rah-rah, tear everything up. Catches sight of Grandpa Cage, realizes that they've got a connection, but all the other AI cars are egging on the Shelby, and the Shelby's just like, I don't know what to do. But then at the last minute, you just see the accelerator drop to the floor. It revs and just collides into Grandpa Cage and kills him.
Oh wow!
Yeah, end of Act 1.
Oh wow! So then what's the main plot? Are the kids trying to? Is society trying to disable the AI? Is that the plot that the kids are trying to do?
We'll take the same thing from Patient Zero in that it's the humans versus this new breed of thing.
And they're trying to search for the original network where the AI originated.
To shut it down.
Because there's to be some sort of central mainframe.
Yeah.
And we all know that just like the internet, you can destroy one server and the entire internet's gone. It wipes out completely.
Exactly. The Cyberdyne style from Terminator.
Or
no time travel.
In the Phantom Menace where they just blow up the one ship that controls all the robots. Instead of having all the robots independently networked, which would just seem like a much, much smarter idea. No, we have them all connected to one's mainframe so you can blow that up and destroy
I'm not even sure how that would work. It sounds so much more inefficient. But anyway, how do they transmit power as well? Anyway, let's not go down that road. But yeah, this is what happens, and that sets off this sort of like spark in particular grandchild Cage. I can't remember his name. I'll call the Academy, but this is what sets off the rage inside grandchild Cage to go out there and defeat the car AI menace once and for all.
So I mean, we have 5 characters then in Captain Planet, they were Wheeler, Minka.
Kwame,
Marty,
and there's another one. The fire dude.
No, that was Wheeler.
Oh, it's one of the water.
Yeah, the wind or the water girl.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter. So we have that sort of same balance. I was about to say Marty. There's 3 boys and 2 girls. I'm like, I'm not actually sure what Marty. It doesn't really matter. Does one of them have a monkey? Is that a little?
Yeah, I think Marty.
No, in our one. Do we have like a little capuchin monkey?
Do animals exist in this world, in this post-apocalyptic world, or have they all died out? Are they replaced with like the Sony Aibo robot dog things?
Oh, interesting.
From now on, I don't know.
That's weird as well because the cars are constantly going around polluting the atmosphere and destroying. I also see like this very sort of like orangey brown tint to the sky because of all the pollution and fumes and stuff like that.
So maybe, or maybe he has like one of the last remaining animals or something.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. The last capuchin.
It's a great name for a film.
Yeah, Daniel Day-Lewis in and everything.
Oh yeah, is that no? It isn't actually.
The last of the Mohicans.
Yeah, okay. I was going to say. All right, the Academy is telling me that Nicolas Cage's character was Randall Raines. Really bad name, might I say? But anyway, his apparently his nickname was Memphis as well.
Memphis, Memphis. That sounds good. Does that mean like we all of the other character or his grandson or great grandson or great granddaughter
called like Memphis Jr.
I mean, I would have can't they just like name them after other places in Tennessee?
Oh, okay, yeah,
like,
great.
Of which I can't name any.
Hickson, that's a place, isn't it?
Is it in Tennessee? Or
I possibly. Hang on, let me call the Academy.
Let's get a list of the largest population cities in Tennessee.
All right. While I'm doing that, let's continue the story because this is like. Okay, here let's look at some good names here.
Not good
Knoxville.
Knoxville. So Memphis had a son called Knoxville.
Yep.
And then Knoxville has a daughter called
Kingsport.
So this is the story of how Kingsport is so upset over the death of Grandpa Memphis.
Yep.
that she goes and venges to destroy the AI with her friends.
All right, great. So all right, let's switch. Okay, so we've got what's the name again? Kingsport Raines, which was Kingsport Raines. Then who else have we got? We've got maybe her brother.
All right, there's 2 of them.
Yep. So that will be Chattanooga.
Kingsport and Chattanooga Raines.
We've also then got a maybe like a scrappy little kid who doesn't speak at all, like a little mute kid.
Yep, and I think that the scrappy little mute kid has the capuchin monkey.
Yes.
That's fine.
And maybe they're like a tech whiz or something.
Yeah, I mean, someone has to also be like a mechanic, like a grease monkey.
Oh, yep.
Is the monkey a grease monkey?
Yes. It is.
Or do we just call the kid who's good at mechanicking things Grease Monkey, and every time they call him a monkey, the monkey's like, but I'm the monkey. This is really confusing.
All right, yep, fine. So we've got Grease Monkey, the mute kid.
Yep.
Who is, I guess, are they also a tech wizard or are they just mechanical?
I think just mechanical.
Okay, so we do need a tech wizard.
Yeah.
Who will be, what could we have?
Just anyone. I mean,
really.
You look at the 90s and there's always a tech wizard in there. There's Billy the Blue Power Ranger. Like,
did what's his name from The Wiz? Not The Wiz, The
Michael
Wizard.
Jackson.
No. That kid who was in I've forgotten the name. He's like a really famous childhood actor. He was in that video game based film called The Wizard. I want to say his name is Daniel something. He also did like a TV show where like it was narrated by
Fred Savage,
that's him.
He's directing a lot of TV nowadays.
He is, yes. But if he had any children, maybe they could be.
I mean, this is the we can cast voices. That doesn't matter. It doesn't actually matter how old they are in real life.
Right.
So long as I think Fred Savage could come in and
as our tech wizard,
kid,
reprising the role that he played in
the Princess Bride. So he's the guy who can sort of come in and put in a Trojan worm to destroy the AI?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Because virus technology has not moved an inch from 1996.
He just has to plug the USB into the mainframe
right,
and upload the virus that kills the... Is that one? It kills all the alien spaceships in Independence Day by just loading something into the mainframe.
And somehow that they can interface with each other. But it makes more sense in our film because the cars are still based on technology that humans built.
Exactly.
So they're going to have USB ports and all that kind of stuff. How does the alien have a USB port? Anyway, now we need just one more kid to complete our fivesome of this troop. I think it needs to be a girl, and I think they need to be the athletic type.
Yep. Maybe the actual driver. So
maybe like reprising Angelina Jolie's character.
Yeah,
in
exactly.
That film. So her name in that film was.
I kind of feel like surely canonically the Kingsport and Chattanooga.
Yep.
Like that Angelina Jolie is their grandma, right?
Yeah.
So like.
Oh wait, did they? Oh yeah, I guess so.
I assume they get together. I'm sure that's what it was hinting at. This is just sort of like someone who's grown up like in the racetracks, like doing sort of like obviously she's grown up driving go-karts because you can't drive anything bigger because it attracts the attention of the AI cars.
Vinnie Jones, you said, was in this film.
Yeah.
And apparently their character name was the Sphinx.
The Sphinx.
So what if it was their descendant?
Yeah.
So their grandchild. And she was called...
Also the Sphinx.
And
that's the riddle of the Sphinx. It's like, why don't you change it each generation? It's like, no one knows. Sometimes I walk on 3 legs and sometimes I walk on 2.
Depends on the time of day. So that's the Sphinx. So they're back, well, from a descendant point of view, they're back as well. So that's our 5. That's great. So we've got the 2 siblings, Kingsport and Chattanooga Rains.
Yep.
We've got...
Grease Monkey?
Grease Monkey, who is a mute... mechanical.
No. Hang on.
No,
it was mute. Yes, mute. There was. Yeah, Grease Monkey with the monkey. Yep, sure.
We've got Fred Savage
playing Tech Wizard.
Call him the Wizard.
Yeah,
the Wizard, playing our sort of computer hacking genius, and then we've got the Sphinx. We should also cast the rest of the actors, but anyway,
I'm getting a very, very Zombieland.
Yeah, Emma Stone.
Emma Stone as the Sphinx.
As the Sphinx, perfect. Who's going to be our mute kid called the Grease Monkey?
That's the thing. We don't have anyone voice them.
That's true.
Because they're mute.
I keep forgetting that's going to be animated. It's like, no, we should cast a voice anyway for them.
Like who was it? Alan Tudyk who did the voice of the chicken in Moana.
Yeah. He also did the voice of like a bunch of like mechanical machinery. Then they had like Bill Hader playing BB-8 in The Force Awakens as well. So like, why not just get a really famous actor to do...
Let's just say it was Marlon Brando. Let them prove us wrong.
Yep, okay. I want to have the thing at the end where that character just like finally speaks and we'll all just use Marlon Brando.
You say that is exactly what happens with the Sphinx in Gone in 60 Seconds.
Oh, really?
They are mute the entire film.
Really?
And then the very last scene, he says something incredibly prophetic.
Yep.
And they're just sort of like, oh, well, you don't speak very much, but when you do, you say something incredibly insightful.
Okay, so maybe we should save that for... No, but then we got 2 mute... No, okay, look. Yeah. This is getting complicated
2
now.
mute characters,
But anyway, Marlon Brando will play Grease Monkey, and basically he will just pull a library of his various grunts, moans, yawns, burps, whatever, and then right at the end we'll pull a line from Superman 1 because Warner Brothers has tons of footage.
Exactly, and they're very, very keen to jam that stock footage into whatever film that they can manage.
All right, so what about Kingsport and Chattanooga? Who are they going to be? Boy and girl. I think Kingsport is a girl and Chattanooga is a girl. Yep.
A boy. Sorry.
Yep. Sure.
Good question. It really could be anyone.
Could be anyone.
I really feel as though I should print out a list of just actors' names beforehand and go down the list. You're like, yeah, you know what?
Yep. Why don't we just get back one of the actors from Captain Planet?
That's true. I mean,
yep.
I want to say Whitney Houston did the voice of like Gaia, but
I
don't think that's right.
No, it is actually Whoopi Goldberg, who played Gaia for the first 3 seasons, and then Margot Kidder played Gaia for like season 4 to 6.
From Superman?
From Superman, yeah.
That's weird.
That is so weird. But anyway, I think we can't get Margot back because she passed away recently, unfortunately. But we can get Whoopi Goldberg to play Kingsport. Sorry, why do I keep forgetting that name?
And
so Chattanooga, who are we going to get to play that?
Someone who sounds
all right.
like it could be Whoopi Goldberg's brother.
Okay, so Here's I've got a completely left field choice for you here, but I think it should be Phil Collins.
Phil Collins?
Reason why is because I had a download of the Captain Planet theme song from years and years ago, which came from some peer-to-peer network, and for some reason it was like tagged as being like written and sung by Phil Collins, which is not true. He did not touch the Captain Planet theme song by any stretch of the imagination, but for the longest time I thought Phil Collins wrote and sang the Captain Planet's theme song. As well as that, I have seen a poster very recently for a Phil Collins live show where the title of the show is "I'm Not Dead" live show. Literally says that. So I just feel like...
And it's also sort of taking the page from The Old Man and the Gun, where we get like the Tom Waits style
exactly.
The musical singer, guy. So Whoopi Goldberg as Kingsport, Phil Collins as Chattanooga, Marlon Brando as Grease Monkey, Emma Stone as the Sphinx,
and Fred Savage as the Wizard. Semi-reprising his role from the film of the same name.
And then we have Nicolas Cage as the voice of Shelby, the rogue AI car.
All right, so... we don't need to worry about Act 2 because Act 2 is obviously going to be the like planning,
the journey,
action, yada yada yada.
There's obstacles. I think there are zombies in this world, but just kind of like our discussion, we kind of forgot about them. About 2/3 of the way through the discussion, they kind of fell off, and so when they kind of show up like a little bit of word through the film, like, oh yeah, that's right, there is zombies, and then they just kind of go away again because it's not really the focus of the story itself.
All right, so Act 3, how is this going to end? Like, do the kids succeed? Do the cars take over? Like, what's the...
I think maybe what happens is that they upload the virus into the mainframe.
Yep.
And like it would in the real world, it just affects the mainframe and none of the cars that are networked to it.
Okay, so it's like a huge disappointment.
And the Wiz is just kind of like, but this worked in all of the films that I watched in the 90s. And it's like, yeah, well, no one knew about networking in the 90s, and none of that what they should have done should have worked.
Yeah, it's like it's a classic. It's actually just a closed loop system, the original mainframe, and they've got tons of backups in the cloud, so it doesn't really matter. They thought that they were attacking like the central mainframe where everything was powered off it, and that they assumed that if they turn that off, the AI in the cars would all switch off as well. No, it's cloud based, it's satellite based. You'd have to take out hundreds of millions of different servers to like shut down the system for good. So you're saying that like this is kind of like the ending of Terminator 3 as well, if you remember that really bad Terminator film, because they like basically spend the whole film trying to get to this secret underground bunker where they say the like mainframe for what would become Cyberdyne or something, like it's a really bad sequel, is stored, and then like they get there and then realize that they've been tricked. It's actually just a secure location where they can wait out the apocalypse. Yeah, and the like mainframe didn't actually exist, and so they're all screwed.
Yeah, there's elements of I think like the end of Fight Club where they try and stop the bombs, and then in the end they just kind of like watch out the window as the things just sort of explode. Yep. There's elements of Rogue One where they're just kind of like standing there looking for that tidal wave. I like that.
12 Monkeys as well.
12 Monkeys, yeah. That full-on, everything that we've worked for has been a fallacy. What a good ending to a kid's film.
You know what? No. But the way that the film should end, and you know what we've done here? I'll tell you what we've done after I explain this. But basically, the film should end with all them basically losing and dying. And then it's just like the cars start a brand new life as the dominant species of Earth, and that's how Cars came about.
That's how Cars starts. I'm not sure. Like, do our protagonists actually die at the end of this film? I quite like. I mean, they will eventually.
Yep.
And the Cars will take over.
Yep.
And it is very loosely a prequel to the Cars franchise.
That's right. Yep.
But I do like them just sort of like going, oh, and then they're just kind of looking out at the world and just going, well, that's that then.
Yep. Yeah, that's it. That's their last like refuge. They just sort of stay there until they pass away peacefully at an old age.
So
there's it's an indifferent ending for the humans.
What we're doing, AJ, we're leaving it open for a sequel.
That's right. We're totally doing that. Yep. All right, good.
I still feel though, and I'm going to throw this spanner in the works, and you're going to have to say which one.
Yep.
One of those 5 dies.
Okay, great.
And like obviously Nicolas Cage, the grandpa Nicolas Cage dies. He's run over by Shelby, but in the adventure, like someone is like, "Leave me behind! You have to save yourselves."
It's Chattanooga for sure.
It is Chattanooga.
I mean, like if Phil Collins is putting on performances that say "I'm not dead yet," like it clearly means that his death is imminent.
It's imminent death.
He's not going to be around for the sequel, which means we'd have to cast a voice alike to do Phil Collins
the
sequel. So
that's a really good point.
Get rid of him.
So Chattanooga
dies. Yeah.
Oh no. My favorite. My favorite of the ragtag Gone in 60 Seconds kids crew.
I like Grease Monkey. And maybe that's where Grease Monkey like pipes up and says his thing.
Are we also going to do like the tearful death of Hedwig / Dobby, like death of the Capuchin Monkey? Like maybe in one of the sequels. We'll hold that off.
Yeah,
we'll hold off that tearjerker until like it really hits
What we
home.
need in the sequel is like multiple characters to die in the first like 5 minutes. Like I don't know, some films do that, right? They have like, they go into a sequel, it's the Avengers actually. Like they just wipe out a bunch of characters in one go.
They did it in the really popular film franchise G.I. Joe, where like I think Channing Tatum might have been the main character in the first one, and then just like within like a couple of seconds of the second one, he's just done.
Yeah,
just like I was just in a well and I died.
Yeah.
Why? It's like, oh, we couldn't afford you, a la Jack Black in Goosebumps too.
It's like, you know how they sometimes write them out so that like their death is sort of like Ocean's 8, where they said like, oh, George Clooney's character Danny Ocean has died, and he died like before the events of this film happened. Like we could do it like that, or we cast them for like 5 minutes of recording time, get their last lines, and then kill them off.
Yeah.
All right.
I like it.
Either or, we can do that.
I think we're planning the sequel a bit too much here.
Too much, yeah.
I mean, you know, I'm sure... Are we going to do almost like what Goosebumps did, where you're kind of like releasing a sequel almost before you've even released the original one?
Sure, yeah, for
sure. It's in production. You've got to get this done. If you want less than like a 18-month turnaround between...
I would love to do a direct-to-video as well, and like a literal direct-to-VHS, so that no one can watch it.
I'd love that if like someone's like dug this out. I'm like, oh, this is from the 90s. Look at the really bad animation style, and it's definitely on like this magnetic tape. How novel! And it's like made in 2018. What is going on here?
It will be like the single most expensive production ever, because like I don't think anyone actually makes VHS tapes anymore.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So we'd have to like restart the factories to make
what you do. Tape. What you do, all you need to do is get the old VHS tapes. You put a bit of electrical tape on the back with a little tab pops out, which means you can't override it.
Yep.
And you start sort of like copying VHS to VHS. Like it's cheap and easy.
Do you have a VHS player?
Oh, we actually need two of them. We need to press play and record on one and play on the other one, so it actually goes reel to reel and copies the film across.
These are all production notes. We'll get this sorted out, but I'm pretty sure I checked Amazon recently for the average cost of a VHS player. They're really expensive.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're insanely expensive. So maybe we'll have to spend most of our production money just buying 2 VHS players so that we can make the recordings. But the most important thing that we need to sort out before we do anything regarding release is we need a name for this film.
I have an idea.
Yep.
Gone in 2060 seconds.
Yes.
And the 2060 is 2060 is the year, of the future.
Excellent. That's perfect. That's absolutely perfect. And if we can somehow tie that into the amount of time that they need as well, like Gone in 60 Seconds did. I'm not sure.
How long is 2060 seconds? It's a couple of hours, isn't it?
It's a while. 2060 seconds divided by 60 is 34.33333. So it's like a little over a day.
All right, cool.
Perfect.
Good.
Yeah. All right. And unlike Gone in 60 Seconds, it actually is exactly the amount of time that they need.
Exactly.
Because Gone in 60 Seconds was inaccurate.
Exactly.
They had a whole day.
They had a whole day, and even stealing the cars sometimes took like 10 or 15 minutes.
Exactly.
That's not 60 seconds at all.
That's right. All right, so Gone in 2060 Seconds.
Yeah.
A traditional 2D animated cell hand-drawn film, which is a spiritual sequel, or is a sequel to Gone in 60 Seconds, but marketed for kids.
And also a prequel to Cars. It gets more kid-like the further in the franchise you get to.
That's right.
Gone in 60 Seconds, definitely adult, animated, 2D animated, but with adult overtones, and then eventually sort of eases into Cars.
Cars is set like thousands of years into the future, where like the DNA material of the original Shelby has mingled so far into it that the cars grow organic shapes like mouths and eyes.
Exactly.
So it makes sense.
Eventually.
It makes perfect sense.
Exactly.
All right, I think that's a wrap.
I think you're right.
Okay. Housekeeping, as per usual. We are online at moviefilmstudios.net, where you can find all of our previous episodes, our bios, and of course, Mufuzza Woodada, our database of films that we've created on this podcast. Search Facebook for Movie Film Studios and join the community where we post emoji clues as to the trailers that we've watched in upcoming episodes. Yeah, you've got the old man and the something.
Is there a goose emoji? Is there a bumps emoji?
Sure.
I'm not sure. We'll make it work.
Patient Zero?
Last week we had a film film called Green Book.
Yep.
And there is an emoji of a green book, and I found it. I'm like, yes, my work here is done. Who knows what old man in a gun? I'm sure that's possible.
I just also want to bring up, last week we had the Nutcracker and the Four Realms, which was the actual episode name as well. What did that translate into when we translated it?
Crackers and nuts and the four spheres it was into Russian and back again. Yep. It was such a perfect. Normally, like you translate it. I'm going to translate it into Hebrew and back again, and it just comes back exactly the same. This one was like crackers and nuts. I'm like, oh, that is great. That is perfect.
All right, and of course we're on iTunes, Spotify, Podbean, and any place that you get podcasts. A little aside for you all today as well. Isaac and I are both performing in the upcoming Sydney Fringe Comedy Festival. So I will be directing and starring in a show called The Rise and Fall and Rise of Rex Owner, which is sort of a show very much in the vein of Movie Film Studios. It is about the 80s action star that the world forgot to remember, Rex Owner, and it will be an absolute blast. And both Isaac and I will be appearing in the Rat King Fairy Tale at the 25th and 26th of September.
The Factory Theatre
22nd, 23rd,
at the 22nd and 23rd is the Rat King Fairy Tale.
Yep.
And the 8th and 9th of September, also at the Factory Theatre, is the Rise and Fall and Rise of Rex Owner. So if you're in Sydney on those dates, want to check out some live comedy, some improvised fun, or want to see us in person, just to put some faces to the voices, then come out. It should be a good time.
Yes, and you can find more information about those on theratking.com.au. And I think that's it.
All that remains is to thank you once again for listening this week. I've been Isaac.
And I've been AJ.
Roll credits.
Watch me.